Thanks, Richard. Good morning, everyone. Richard asked me an interesting question before the show, and I think he mentioned it. Here it is. When does transformation start and when does it finish? And I guess the first thing is to say, what do we mean by transformation? And I think transformation is not the same. Having worked with lots of lawyers, focusing on the words, to me, transformation is not about incremental change or about continuous improvement. It's about a substantive change in a short period of time. When does it start? This may sound like a statement of the obvious, but it's really important. It starts when there's a perceived need, which may be different from a real need, because often the perceived need can come later, for people to actually want to transform. The status quo in any organisation, in any species, I think, look at things, is to protect the status quo. People don't like change, don't want to change. So if you're going to try and transform anything, people need to perceive there's a reason to do so. We've just been talking about with that survey the impact of COVID and it was transformed the way people work overnight. There was a big, and it was transformational there. What else may drive the need for transformation? And again, Richard mentioned a bit earlier, business confidence, what's happening there. And I see two major issues that we've got the professional service firms are facing, and the impact will depend on the size of the firm, and I'll come back to that. But first of all, we see confidence declining in the economy and declining significantly, and confidence can be a self-fulfilling thing. We worry about the future, so our confidence goes down. We get less confidence, so we don't do positive things. What may that do is lie to me the volume of work in some areas is going to decline. I think we've seen this week Goldman Sachs saying they're going to get rid of a significant percentage of their workforce because the volume of transactions has gone down and expected to go down. So the volume of work that firms overall can expect may well go down unless supply goes out of the market. And I think in professional services it rarely does. If you make people redundant, they'll tend to go and work for another firm unless they're at retirement age. They tend not to go out of the market. So that also means price comes down, and we saw that in 2008 and things there. So you can see a need for transformation, particularly because revenues may decline. Some areas they may go up, and then we're all seeing costs pressure. I've been heard stories of lawyers, particularly being recruited with 60-70% pay rises to move from one firm to another. So you've got big cost pressures there on the firms and what they can afford to pay people. Then we've got all the other inflationary costs that we've coming through. So all things being equal, you can see there's a need, some big financial pressures coming. The question then is, do you go for a short-term fix, or do you use that as a way of transforming the organisation there? So I can see that that coming ahead. The impact is different. I think the very big professional practices tend to make huge amounts of money, and a decline in partner earnings or whatever is not going to put them on the breadline. But what it will do is make some firms look more attractive than others, and encourage partners to move firms. So whilst it may not be an existential threat in some of these things, it can be a medium term effect. Smaller professional practices which don't make much money, I can see there being existential threats here. Again, if you're a team of a partner and 2 or 3 fee earners in a regional business, and you lose one of those fee earners because they've been poached to go to a big firm, you've lost 25% of your capacity. You've lost probably 70% of the part contribution to your overheads. So that makes big problems. So I can see a need to transform in some firms becoming more acute in the next next few months and years. How to transform is a different thing, which I will answer questions about perhaps a bit later, but not go into now because it's a massive subject. But it's difficult, and people only appreciate the transformers at the time. Once you transform them, they tend not to appreciate it.